Hey YouTube, Kiratwig here, bringing you guys another one of my Yu-Gi-Oh video specials. Today I am sharing with you guys my first Yu-Gi-Oh collection ever. Now when I say first Yu-Gi-Oh collection, this is basically what I'm counting as the first big collection for Yu-Gi-Oh that I ever picked up in my life. And that's basically cards I collected when I first began the game, cards that built up from booster packs when I was a kid, cards I used to work on my decks, all those kind of cards. What I have here, kept it all together as best as I could since I first started playing the game. Obviously cards have come in and out whenever I needed cards for, like, let's say specific decks, but the majority of the cards in the actual storage case and in the binders themselves have stayed pretty relevant and together because I don't really like to mess with them too much because it is kind of a memory of, you know, my past Yu-Gi-Oh! But I thought I'd share it with you guys today, just all the cards of what they were originally in these sets. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now for the binders, I would say these are the more smaller parts of the collection itself. For these binders, these were like the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh for me, the very start, and I bought packs from The Legend of Blue Eyes, Metal Raiders, Magic Ruler, and Pharaoh's Servant when they first came out. But Labyrinth of Nightmare was the pack I really bought a lot of. As you can see, I've got plenty of cards here, but sadly a lot of the holos that I used, I was a kid at the time, didn't stay in too good condition and are either, you know, mixed in with other cards being used and whatnot. But most of the commons and rares stayed in this binder that I used. I was a big fan of the mask cards, so used Mask of Dispel, Mask of the Accursed, I think it was called. Never got Mask of Restrict when this pack was out, so never really had the chance to use that in any of the decks. But any card I thought was cool that I saw in like the anime definitely stayed in the binder and you know, was used by me, obviously. Other cards were ones that were in the games, the World Championship games, like that I saw. Pick those out, put them in, because if I saw them in the game, I had to use them in real life as well. That's just the kind of kid I was. Other cards I thought were cool, but most of them, like I said, were Labyrinth of Nightmare. I stuck around with the Battle City arc when that was out as well. So a lot of those cards were used in Labyrinth of Nightmare, including, you know, by Loomis and Umbra, Strings, all those cards, Bakura, obviously. So a lot of good commons were part of that one. And I think this binder is exactly the same with just more Labyrinth of Nightmare added in to it. But like I said, a lot of the commons stayed in, while the holos, I remember vividly, Magic Cylinder was a card that I pulled, obviously. Not too many holos, though, because I wasn't, you know, I didn't get too many packs. When I got packs, I, you know, made them count. But after that, you know, I really took a break from Yu-Gi-Oh, but came around more during the GX time and picked up cards from there. So this is what I would call like my first big collection for what I gathered up for Yu-Gi-Oh. And most of these cards are from the GX time, some of them before Yu-Gi-Oh as well, which these are other cards that I gathered up from when I first started. So the Labyrinth of Nightmare binders kind of stuck around during that time, like I said. But I have some other cards from earlier sets as well that I collected around the time. You know, I would always maybe pick up a random booster pack and whatnot beforehand and open that. Got lucky and pulled some cards. Plus, I also have some cards from when I first started going to locals during the 5Ds time, and I have some of the dual terminal cards as well here. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with, I think, that section. So when I first started going back to locals, which was around the Duelist Revolution time, I thought the dual terminal was the coolest thing, and put a lot into it, and the Naturias were a big part of it, which a lot of you know, Naturias are one of my favorite deck. So these ones stuck around and in the actual container themselves, but these you can see are kind of the Naturias that I didn't play in my deck, so they were like the extra ones, which I now see I have a Rose Whip, which I think is actually pretty sought out right now because of the Battle Maiden side options. But other ones as well, they were like the first to go into this box, and I use this box a lot more since, I don't know, I just maybe thought that binders weren't as cool at the time when I was gathering up cards, but a lot of them that stuck around in here were commons as well. You can see we'll pick up small amounts at a time. I had some retro pack from here. The Elemental Heroes were big as well. When I was getting back into the game around the GX time, the packs that were out were the Gladiator's Assault, the Phantom Darkness, Light of Destruction, which I remember vividly when I bought my first pack of Light of Destruction. I pulled Ghost Honest, which I thought was incredible, but yeah, like I said, a lot of these cards are from the Duelist packs, the starter decks from GX, and just ones that I thought were, interesting, good. A lot of heroes. That's like the main focus that I noticed. But other stuff, you can see a lot of them are upside down as well, are from like the Duelist pack, Jesse Anderson, those kind of things. So having those kind of cards, I always like to go up against the heroes versus the Crystal Beasts, and those were always my fun games that I like to have, whether it be with cousins or friends that I was, playing the game with at the time. Didn't really go to locals as much during this GX point, so whenever I could play games, I would play them, even if they had to use my cards as well. That's when I wanted to do it the most. And you can see the rest of the cards. The Duelist packs, Jesse Anderson, Aster Phoenix as well. I never really pulled well from the Aster Phoenix pack. I think like the biggest card I wanted was Destiny Draw, but I never, was lucky enough to pull it. I think it was Ultra, if I remember correctly. But yeah, just not lucky enough. And I always used the Hero Kids, the Elemental Heroes when I built the Hero deck. A couple extra cards, as you can see. Some also just snuck in there from future packs that I'd probably just stuck in there from like the Battle Pack and other cards, just because I didn't have room at the time to stick them anywhere else. But the majority of the cards, like I said, were from Tactical Evolution, Phantom Darkness, and most of the time the hero cards stuck in this case, and otherwise they didn't stick around with me. I either gave them to people or just, didn't keep them in general. And other stuff I collected here were I obviously was a big fan, collected the wrappers just so I could remember the packs I bought. You can see I've got the Duelist Pack Kaiba, Duelist Revolution, Old Phantom Darkness, got the Duelist Pack Zane, which I actually, until this video started, I completely forgot that was a Duelist Pack, but quite cool there. Tactical Evolution, which I still find today as well, but not as rare as some of the other wrappers that I have in this, especially the Premium Pack 2. You can just see that's even got the Jaden from Season 4 on it. But I love this set because we got like, I think 5 to 6 new heroes in total from that set, so I definitely had to have it. Another big thing I collected were the Chrysalis cards as well, so I don't know if I still have them all in this pile or not, or if I ended up using them, but nope, I think they are actually all right here, still lined up. So let's see if I got all 6 of them. I think I'm just missing Penny, which he might actually be somewhere further down in this bin, because I don't think I would have split them up if I did. If I did, sad, because I think Penny was the hardest one for me to pull. I bought so many packs of Gladiator's Assault, or I think it's Tactical Evolution. Whichever pack it was, Tactical Evolution. Did not pull Penny for the longest time, but more Duelist pack in here. A couple 5G cards snuck around as well, but gathered and held on to the wrappers, and they're going to stay like this because, like I said, this box of cards is mostly just memories and don't really want to change them around too much. I think the final part down here are just more of the hero cards, more of the commons that you can see gathered up from all that. Wasn't really into the Gladiator Beasts. I know people were very into the deck when it came out, but those were traded immediately for hero cards because I had to have every single one in my deck just to see how many different plays I could do. That was the kind of kid I was when GX was out, obviously. But the last part here, you can kind of see just how old some of these cards are definite oldies, but goodies from when I played the Japanese Red Eyes Metal. I remember getting some old premium packs along with the old structure decks, but they've seen better days for sure. Proto Cyber Dragon. My sister, whenever she played, would use Cyber Dragons. All the tip cards from when I bought the Dark Beginning booster packs as well. Held on to those just because we didn't really have the web internet either too much, so I used these as much as I could to look up stuff for cards. I remember pulling this at, I think it was a birthday party actually, where they gave out booster packs as gift favors. Millennium Shield, and that was a McDonald's promo. Very nice there. Same with the Goddess of Whim and a couple other random foils. I think I either traded for, gathered up from other people's collections. I think this Machine King I actually went to Toys R Us to get Lord of D, more Japanese, but this was the main way I held on to them. You can see they're unsleeved, not in the best condition, some of them. Some of them still look decent enough, more masks, obviously, but other ones have seen kind of better days, but all oldies, original dark powdered. This I actually got from a friend in middle school. He had the card, and he promised he would bring it to me. You can see it was in the best of condition when he brought it to me, but I just wanted the card because Yugi used it in the anime. Only reason I wanted it. But more tip cards, and lastly the Revoke Fusion, because any card Jaden had, I had to use. But this was just a small look at my first Yu-Gi-Oh collection. After that, you can obviously say I jumped into hardcore collecting. Full binders, all mint sleeves, became what an actual Yu-Gi-Oh player looks like today. But I'm sure we were all like this type of Yu-Gi-Oh player at one point in our life, especially if you started Yu-Gi-Oh when you were younger and a kid and you were in love with the series and the card game. Let's all, don't forget to share down below what your first Yu-Gi-Oh collections were like, whether they were like a binder portfolio that you used for school, if they were these Yugi and Kaiba ones like I had. Share down below what they were for you, and also don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Kiratwig2, and I'll see you guys later.